At 16 years old, I was getting epidurals in my spine. No, not because I was giving birth. That didn't happen until I was 27. And not because of an accident. It was because I refused to quit. I refused to let go. I thought that that was strength. I thought numbing my body and pushing through was proof that I was disciplined and committed and successful. But the story didn't start there. It started when I was 6 years old. I grew up in what you could call a high-performing family. My mom and dad have a really sweet, meet cute story. They met in law school, where essentially my dad swooped in to save the day, helping my mom study for the bar exam after her life imploded just days before the exam. So achievement and striving in my household was kind of like oxygen. We didn't really talk about it out loud, but it was inherited. My grandfather was an entrepreneur who had many businesses that mostly failed until his 80s. So kind of like in my DNA to keep going. So when I was 6, I was invited to an ice skating birthday party, and that gene clicked. I remember it still to this day. I can smell the ice just like it was that first time. The stiff boots, those like rental boots that are so uncomfortable, the cold air, and most of all, that foreign sensation of my blades gliding over the ice. You know that sensation, how weird it is when you step on the ice? I was learning balance. My body was just calibrating and trying to stay up. I felt alive, like that kind of alive where your mind feels so sharp and the body just clicks on and everything else just fades away. It's like right here, right now, and that's it. So at that birthday party, when it was time for pizza and cake, I did not want to get off the ice. That was the divine spark. And here's what I've learned since. Every high performer begins with that divine spark, but very few know how to protect it or have pattern recognition of the phases of it. I have seen this time and time again over the last 10 years in helping to facilitate hundreds of transformative spiritual experiences for really impressive, really intelligent, accomplished men and women who hold high-ranking degrees, CEOs of organizations, living in atmospheres of high pressure and responsibility, but have failed to develop a consistent practice that connects them with their true selves behind all of the labels of what they do, so that when the next initiation comes, they have a connective, devotional practice to support themselves and the relationships that they value the most. So, fast forward 12 years from this ice skating birthday party, and I had reached the highest level of testing with the U.S. Figure Skating Association. I was competing at regional championships, and I had students of my own. From the outside, all my friends saw me as that successful ice skater. On the inside, I wasn't chasing that divine spark anymore. I was chasing proof that I wasn't a quitter. I'm the successful ice skater. So those early years of skating were magnetic and full of curiosity and wonder and just felt electric. And 12 years later, it felt like force. My body was aching constantly. My primary coaches were really frustrated with my energy and how I was showing up to practice. And I mean, I was 17. I was navigating a magnet high school filled with high achievers that I honestly wondered frequently how I was accepted into that school because I didn't feel very smart. My identity was so wrapped up in being the ice skater. And socially, I didn't quite fit in anywhere except for the ice rink. And even there at the ice rink, something felt really off. All I had to talk about was ice skating. And while historically, up until that point, that felt liberating and felt like a sense of security, but suddenly at 17, it felt suffocating. I would show up to practice every day and be asking, what's the point of all this again? My dad would pick me up from high school to take me to practice, and I remember feeling empty. I would get in the car and I would turn away from him and look out the window, either pretending I was asleep or actually falling asleep the whole 30-minute drive to the ice skating rink, just hoping that the confusion that I was feeling wouldn't burst out of me, because I really didn't want to disappoint him. I didn't want to disappoint my parents, even though they were seeing my distress as the people that love me the most and encouraging me to reconsider the whole life I'd built around ice skating. And I didn't want to disappoint my coaches. They were the ones who showed up for me and cheered me on every single day through thick and thin. And mainly, I was terrified to discover that I was nothing without the identity of ice skater. And here's what I didn't know then, that this experience wasn't going to be isolated to my adolescence as an ice skater. This is about a cycle that every single high achiever enters. There's a 7-stage pattern that I've identified, which is divine spark, devotion, discipline, disconnection, disturbing confusion, then decision and rebirth. And I was in stage 5 in this story towards the end of my ice skating career. Disturbing confusion felt in my body. I thought it meant that I was failing. Now I know it meant that I was evolving. So if you're in a season like that right now where something feels heavy where it once felt alive, I created something simple to help you recalibrate. So I'll share that with you before we close out this episode. Recently, I was reading the Gospel of Mary, which is the only known or recognized gospel now written in the name of a woman, which you still won't find in the Bible you will open your drawer and find in a hotel or in your pew at church if you go to a Christian church. And there's a line that stopped me. It says, "A disturbing confusion then entered the whole body." When I read that, I felt seen, like ancient seen, like seen across centuries. In these times where my body is giving me signals, the divine consciousness, the all, is giving me signals, and my ego mind is resisting them. It's not my body betraying me or me failing. It's me being guided. We feel called towards something before we can logically justify it. Our feeling senses, our body, this temple that we exist in, often senses evolution before our logical identity catches up. But when the outer reality doesn't match the inner knowing, confusion floods the system. If you're a high performer, you know this experience, especially if you've reached a point of burnout and have been forced via sickness or begging from a loved one to take a break, and then you try and do it, and it feels so extremely painful in your body because you're getting all these signals that you should be going, but here you are needing desperately to take a break. So the Gospel of Mary in this passage follows and says this: become content at heart while remaining discontent and disobedient. In other words, how I interpret this, and there's many interpretations out there, I interpret this as be at peace internally, but don't conform with your actions. Let your identity evolve. So here's what I found hardest to admit back in the day, in my skating days. It wasn't discipline that kept me skating. It was fear. Fear of losing the only social world that I knew. Fear of being irrelevant. Fear of being labeled a quitter in a very high-performing environment. Quitting did not feel neutral to me. It felt like collapse. If I stopped showing up at practice, I assumed I'd be forgotten by my community there. I imagined I wouldn't have value to the world anymore because my performance on the ice was how I measured how well I was doing in the world. That was what my parents talked to their friends about and our extended family about, my grandparents and my cousins, my ice skating achievements. That's what I talked about in the world. When somebody said, "How are you doing?" Well, I responded with how I was doing with ice skating. So if that was done, if I took a break or stepped away from ice skating, I just thought I would have nothing to say. Or my parents would have nothing to say. Like, here's Courtney. She's our daughter. And that's all. That felt really empty and sad to me in my mind. So if I stopped skating, then I'd have no value. If I stopped being that identity, then what was I doing in the world? So I ignored all of these signs. It got to the point where it hurt so bad to get out of bed. Like, this is how I imagine 90-year-olds on their deathbed feel like. And I was feeling like that at 16 and 17 years old. Rolling over, I would have to grab onto things to stand up. Every movement felt so painful in the mornings and throughout the day. And so I was forced to stop. I could not bend over to put my skates on. So for 2 full months, the longest I'd ever not skated up until that point in my life at 16 or 17 years old, I wasn't skating. I wasn't training. It was just physical therapy and going to the chiropractor's office. It felt like a death sentence. Everyone else, my peers at my level, were progressing at practice while I was confined to physical healing. I gained weight, which felt terrifying for being that kind of athlete. I felt a deep sadness that I, in reality, had already been feeling, but I was fully feeling it. I was feeling that identity slipping away. I didn't have this place to go to and these certain people to talk with and my performance to judge how I was doing in the world, just going to the chiropractor and physical therapy. And the feeling of being with myself and something greater. It didn't take very long, maybe a couple of weeks, for me to start feeling a sense of relief, a sense of wonder and mystery at what was coming next. Here I was, not skating, and I still existed. In fact, I felt myself existing more than I had in years because there wasn't the pressure I was putting on myself to prove my value and prove my worth. Without the noise of that, I started hearing myself again. I wasn't fighting my body. I was listening. And when I returned to the ice, something had shifted. I wasn't feeling desperate, and I wasn't gripping. I wasn't grasping for that feeling of proving my worth. I was skating because I wanted to. And not long after coming back, renewed and stronger and feeling me again, I landed a double axel for the first time. If you don't know what that is, it's where you jump up in the air and spin around 2.5 times and land on this little blade. It's one of the hardest jumps in ice skating. After returning back after that break, I was in an on-ice training class. This was before I landed that first double axel. And I was talking to my trainer, and she was telling me her story. She was a competitive skater in her past who had gone to India for a time after stopping skating. She was a trained yogini, a yoga instructor. And back in the day, during her competing years, she told me she had tried for years to land her double axel. She was telling me one night, drifting off to sleep, she got this quiet inner message. And it said, envision it. Envision it completed. And she started imagining completing the double axel, feeling the clean landing, that blade settling in the ice. And when she fell asleep, she had a dream, a vivid dream. It was like a lucid dream of her executing the whole double axel perfectly. And the next day, she woke up, went to practice, and landed her double axel for the first time ever. After 2 solid years of trying, 2 solid years of falling. And when you're ice skating competitively, you're falling all the time and learning how to get right back up. And then one day, after just kind of like giving it to source, giving it to God, it happened. Shortly after I returned, after practically being forced to take a break by my body, I got out of the way. I let go. And I accomplished something I had been trying so hard to accomplish for years. It felt like opening a surprise check in the mail for $1 million. My body felt at ease. My mind felt settled. And it was the feeling of easy, effortless accomplishment without all that force. I remember still landing it, looking up, and feeling so surprised at how easy that was. After years of thinking, this is really hard work, and in order to accomplish this, I need to try harder. I need to work harder. When come to find out, it was more about ease and joy and connection with myself. That was the magic formula. Alignment first, action second. And that laid the foundation for this process that I'll share with you shortly that I call before you go. Because breakthroughs don't come from pushing harder. They come from recalibrating with ourselves first. So I'm going to ask you now, where are you forcing what once felt alive? Where are you forcing something where you once had that divine spark guiding you and accelerating you forward? Where is your body whispering? Where is that whispering getting louder? Pause for a moment and ask your body. Tune into your heart, not your mind. Tune into your heart. Come through the heart. What feels heavy? What would you pause, not quit forever, but just pause, if you weren't afraid of disappointing someone? Being in a place of confusion is not a sign that you're failing. It's the bridge between identities. And this is a place that I have seen hundreds of high-performing, highly accomplished men and women experience no matter what phase of life that they're in. It is a part, an important part of the human experience that we are here because it's happening. We are here to learn to navigate with more and more ease and support each time that it happens. And this is exactly why I created something simple and practical for moments like this. It's called Before You Go, because it's a great process that you can utilize before you leave the house, before you head into a meeting or an event, before you head into a conversation with a loved one that may feel a little charged. It's a 3-step reset that you can do in under 10 minutes, and it's designed to take you from scattered to centered. Before you walk into your day, before you step into that meeting, that tough conversation, or a new opportunity. Inside this process, I guide you through 3 steps. First step is movement, putting on a song that is uplifting and gets you into a flow state. Step 2, bringing you into your heart, into a space of gratitude, coming into the present moment and acknowledging with your 6 senses what is, and just giving that a little bit of gracious attention. And step 3, a process of stepping into and embodying that new identity, that next place that you are crossing the bridge towards now. This process is designed to help signal coherence to your nervous system, to reconnect you with gratitude and something greater than yourself, so that you can connect with and know that there really is a lot of letting go that you can do, even though it feels like it's up to you to do it all. It's not. And again, the great irony is that when we let go, when we're caught up in a place of efforting and forcing, it's that place where it's time to let go and let the all take over and figure things out for us. It's like delegating. It's like delegating the efforting and the hard work that you're feeling really caught up in right now. So my website is launching soon, and until it does, the only way to receive this full Before You Go 10-minute reset process is by joining my email community. When you join, I'll send it directly to your inbox. And if you're in stage 5 right now, this place of full body disturbing confusion as you cross the bridge into your next identity, if you're feeling the shift towards stepping into this next level identity before you can see it with your physical eyes, if your body's asking for recalibration, this is for you. You do not need to force your way forward. You need to center yourself first and connect with that incredible mystery that is guiding you and supporting you in every moment. So join my email list, download the 3-step reset complete with a curated playlist, and begin listening and letting go differently. You're not behind. You are in the process of becoming. I cannot wait to cheer you on in what's unfolding next. I'll see you in the next episode.